I think this is working. We have some issues. We have some good news. We mostly have good news today. I'm gonna say that. That's pretty good. We have a very bad news, which is my back is hurting again, like last time. So we'll see what we could do about that. But yeah, we'll call in. I hope you're good. I hope your week was good. Apparently, it is Friday. For some reason, the entirety of the building has decided to do renovation. So neighbors 2 floor down are renovating again. Um, Outside renovating the street. I think the shop downstairs is also renovating, and nothing makes sense. So yeah, that's where we are so far. Um, I think I need to do that before we start anything, just to trigger the effect based on what Stony has discovered last week, which is if I do, let me check. If I do, wait, there. Huh, interesting. That, weirdly enough,
All vegetables.
yeah, that works now. Okay, so apparently I need to recheck the app capture for the sound so that you have the sound alerts that I don't have. Or, I mean, I do hear them, but you can't hear them. That's an interesting point. That is an interesting point. Um, but yeah, we've had some very slight, very small things that happened. Some new shots of the work that I've done for Figma last week have been shared with me, which is really cool. So now I have some pictures of the work, but by night. The only issue that I have with this is that based on the low resolution of these screens and the fatness of these pixels, it has this what we call the moire effect, and it's just so bad. It's so bad. But I mean, we see the thing. Cybersect, hi, what got it? The other one is much better. I think I could have cropped the Citadium, but I think for the sake of the campaign and the reasoning of it was a partnership with Citadium, and they were, you know, it's part of the things. So, needed to be there, but we have the moire everywhere, and it's kind of bad. Anyways, that's cool. That's a good news. I also shared that on Twitter for obvious reasons, and the people at Figma are reposting it, so that's good. This is the video that they have sent me, so it's not the one that I have taken. It's more heads-on, but it's not like as good as the one I took, which is kind of sad. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting thing nonetheless. Um, to have these. I have other shots from way farther away, but it's also really wild, at least from my point of view. Everything that we have in there, I don't know if it's synced. Let's see. That's my eyes. Um, yeah, I I don't really like the not the quality, but the quality of these shots. Like they are cute and all, but there is something where you can't really see the details of what's happening, and I'm kind of sad about it. So we'll see if there is something that I can do about it or something else, like whatever. Nonetheless, it is a good thing to have these shots from further away, from different distances, and playing with like other portions. That's a nice thing, but you can't see the details, and that's the thing that is kind of sad for me. Um, you can't see the things, so yeah. We'll see. Cat, hi, we're going in. How's the day going? Other than that, nothing else. I think I have like another shots things from earlier, but also it's kind of weird. The videos I got were from different angles from different places. This one is really like an at night, but same thing. Like you can't see anything. Like you can see it from far away, but it's so much white on white. That sounds interesting. That it doesn't really give you anything. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about them. That's not playing. Um, I had a nap as well. I had a nap from 11 to 12. Like yeah. I think I need to go check my uh cardiologist again because I feel like the meds are making me tired all the time. Not like a little, just all the time. And it's not good. It is not good. Ah, I don't like it. I don't like it. No, there is no need for that. The thing that I need, the blood work is next week, um, officially. So we'll see. We will see. Um, but the blood work is not necessarily for anything that is heart related. It's for anything that's brain related. So it's the usual. Apparently, I need to do some renewal, but it's also kind of weird. I have some issues with the French healthcare for many reasons, but I have issues with healthcare and with many reasons. Um, for example, let me just do that. I have a, an disease that is an incurable autoimmune disease, which is something that will stay with me until I'm dead, which could be next week, but it could also be in 60 years. I don't know. I doubt it. We never know. And so the healthcare system requires me to basically renew my coverage of my incurable for life immune disease as if next year it's just not there anymore. That's not gonna happen. I don't get it. I don't understand. I just, it feels weird. It feels weird. It's like, yeah, no, I have this thing that is like a for life thing. Like it's a disease. You have it. It's categorized. It's in your database and so on. Tickle, hi, welcome on in. How are you? How are you been? And you have the information. You know everything. You know that this is something that I can't get out of. Like it's a for life situation, but you still want me to renew and do the paperwork and so on because it need. I don't know. It's just weird. It's just weird. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Apparently, there's also a thing that is like if I am part of a specific branch of like um the employment situation, which is my case, I don't need to do the renewal because this branch of the government is going to do it for me. But it makes no sense for the same reasons because if that branch of the government can do it for me, then I don't need to do it. But you still send me the email to tell me that I need to renew if I'm not part of this thing, but I'm part of this thing and you know that. So you asking me to renew anyway? So what the fuck is happening? Anyways, all that, all of that, it is the bureaucracy thing. And yeah, I am on the Excel thing today. That's it's, it's not Excel, it's a medium. They said oversize And I was like, well, I'm usually taking like an M in regular, and you know, um, I said if I go in other size, I'm just taking an M as well. I should be good. That bitch is wide, wide. Yeah, this is your usual size, but like that's the thing that is kind of annoying is that I can't really go with a small because the small will probably be too tight in the neck. Um, but the shoulders and the length and so on would be good. So yeah, it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad. We'll see. We'll see. Uh, anyways, on the good news, the app is live. You don't know about it. You have not heard about it. It's not official. But we have this thing. Let me just go back there. That is going to happen on Monday. So on Monday at 12 in the morning. Canna, hi, we're going in. Um, that thing is, it's also pink, kind of. I mean, it looks orange on your end, but it's kind of pink. Yeah, the posture check is not going to be good. So this is new. This is gonna drop on Monday at midnight. And PDT, I never know what that is. Yeah, I don't fucking know. I can't even come up with something. So at midnight on Monday, that's gonna happen, and we have a bit of something in there. I don't really know how Product Hunt does for lifestyle related stuff. I fear. I fear it's gonna be bad. But um yeah, I haven't really checked the like lifestyle and other, I guess. Where? Sorry, my 1 second. Nothing in there is like in lifestyle, which is my category right now, like this category here. That's weird. Anyways, um, oh, you want the baguette? You want the baguette for 1 minute? God damn. God damn, that is a wrong, a very wrong redeem. I should really remove this thing. I really hate it. It is really bad. But welcome on, Chris. I remembered earlier today that you asked a question about Framer component. I think that happened. I can't click your name right here, but yeah, that happened. So I don't. I didn't. I didn't answer that question. My apologies. My apologies. I should have, but I forgot. So if you can ask the question again, that's an option. Hmm. Yeah, most people will hate this accent, so that's why I'm just doing it for 1 minute, and then when the minute is away, I can go back to my regular accent, which makes more sense. Um, what was your question? You asked. Nope, not more of it. You asked. Um, Then you said I'm running out of IDs of Framer components. Maybe you can share some of your IDs. Some streams ago, you said you have a lot of IDs. And I get 50% in Twitch subs. I see. Um, Basically, the most of the IDs that I have for the Twitch, the Twitch, bitch, for the Framer components are additional effects that you can add to elements. So right now, we are close to a taco. If we had someone with an O, we could create a taco with the letters. Um, anyways, anything that is like addition to the text, addition to an image, effects that could be made with a shader, things like this would be highly appreciated. So I'm gonna use Unicorn Studio because that's the usual. But anything like this, for example, that could be added on top of like an image or on top of a text field or something else would be highly appreciated. I don't know if that already exists, but I'm sure that these are the things and the type of thing that you would benefit, probably could create easily inside of the Framer components. And yeah, that's most of my IDs. That is most of my IDs. I do think that most of the things on shaders might already exist for the sake of Unicorn Studio exists and uh, sorry, and Framer University exists as well. And so in there is like already a lot of really powerful existing um, components and things that you can potentially recreate even though not good. That's a good point. But that's the thing. Yeah, right. Hi, welcome on in. Welcome on in. Other than that, like this shit, for example, that we talked about from last, nope, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, effect that is like basically raising the text. This is something that was like an after effect that, could be something that I have in mind. Obviously, this is really bad though. Um, it only works when you are close by. You need to grow the zone by a lot. But this looks really cool. So that type of thing could be interesting as well to have and to do and um, and to create. So yeah, I feel like I mean again, I have issues with the visuals around here, so don't worry about it. Yeah, these are really cool. Mm. 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 Again, you have like already a lot of them. You have a lot of components that are done, and this will give you a lot of options. Um, I feel like when you're looking at the effects and the things that are currently inside of the marketplace of Framer directly, you will have something that will, not necessarily need to be duplicated because they already exist in that realm right here. But again, there might be things, and I'm not saying like do that every time, but you might find something like I'm gonna use the glow because it's easier. You might find a glow effect, and you think that this is kind of shit when it comes to how it's presented. So you could 100% just create a glow effect that is better or that has like it's basically a glow, but it also has a sub effect as an additional that is inside. So it could be like a glow effect plus a dithering effect, and you have combined both inside of one single effect. So if you end up with just the glow, it's fine. If you end up with just the dithering, it's fine. But if you combine the glow and the dithering, you get like a very interesting background effect thingy, like that's a thing that you could do easily and get options, outputs, stuff really quickly. But then again, there is probably like a lot of options that are in there that already exist that people have already done. Like the unfocused is something that I've seen before, um, which is really neat. Like I like that effect. I feel like this is really cool. It's not much, but it's pretty cool. Of a thing that you can have. Anyways, that's basically the idea. The most of the things, at least for me, is going to be um, when you have like an on scroll, on text, and or fully animated all the time. These are the things that the people are gonna probably like and reuse and create. The other thing that I'm seeing, which is kind of, a bit annoying with Framer Marketplace right now, is that not most, but like a lot of these effects and plugins and things are already free. So if yours are all paid, you might end up with less sales unless your existing component things that you are creating are like so good. But that depends. I don't know. Like shit like this are really good. I like that. It's kind of useless, but it's the type of thing where you're scrolling through and then you move your cursor a tad and it just breaks the text and you're like you will play with it. You were reading, then it just goes back and you just read again. So yeah, interesting stuff. I feel like the most simplest might be the ones that you want to or you would like to put in free. So maybe that grid animation thing could be like a free thing that you're giving it out and so on, unless it took you a long time. I don't know. But then the one that are a bit more complex, like these event calendar, the components that just like make more sense. These could be paid. Maybe that glowing image could be free. Depends on you, as always. But yeah. Meh. And also right now you are using or you are creating components that are only visual components. I know. Um, most of them are visual effect, visual thing that you're adding. You have one, two, three, maybe four that are like usable components, as in you have a calendar event where you can see what happens when, what is the event you can book and so on. These are the type of thing that people don't like to create specifically in Framer. If you go back to where we are with the target audience, is the usual thing um, for this and for Framer specifically. It's people that don't have either the dev skill or the design skill, and they just want a website that works. So if that's the case, and you want to provide them something that they would buy and happily be like buying and getting components like these that just, navigates and see things and you see that it works and it has like effect and so on, all of that is going to be something that you need to um, take into consideration when you're building your components. And so, again, it can be whatever components you have, just because that's kind of wild, though, just because it works. And it's exactly what people are looking for. They are looking for a way to speed up their days. So that's the thing. But yeah, that's that. I knew I had an answer for you, and I just didn't take the time to do so. So my bad. But yeah, shit like this is pretty interesting. Even though like kind of distanced, and I need like more controls around here. But yeah, nonetheless, going back to this. So we have this thing. I probably made typos in my text as always. And I don't know exactly, right, um, how to talk. I don't like to do marketing and the text and the things, so it happens. And as I was saying, I don't really know what lifestyle product exists in Product Hunt. I don't know how the lifestyle category, something that is popular, not popular, and so on. Like the only thing that I know is that the homepage is usually things that are tech related or like currently AI related. So the fact that the one that I'm building is non-AI integrated is not a good thing. Um, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it works and so on. I just don't want to be in the promoted section because it makes no sense. Last time we had not much, but we had some uh tops situation. I think the first one ended up in top two, no, top 10 of the week or something. So that was cool. But yeah, that big ass message, I need to do the same thing again. So, um, you know, that is something that needs to happen. So I need to work on that. But yeah, that's for Monday. So we have the release on Monday. The official release time is for Monday at midnight. And then once that's done, the app is available for everyone. It's already available for everyone, but you don't know. The other thing that is happening is I'm implementing other things still, even though no one is on the app just yet. So I'm trying to build as much as I can as the first burst. Like I apologize to all the Apple review team on the first week or the first months because that's where I go from build like 100 to 120 in production in like 2 weeks just because I'm fixing things and fixing the bugs and so on. So it's annoying because they have to review every time. But I'm making a lot of progress. And so today's progress, for example, has been this section. Let me see if I can just show you directly. From here, I have doubts based on where we are. But yeah, the grid is going to react obviously, is going to react to the content of the user like collection. So if you have only two, like right here, it's going to span 1, 2. If you have only like two perfumes in question, you have one for yourself, you're going to have like one like this. And so the idea or the goal for this is making sure that when you are on an iPad, for example, you don't end up with just a 3 columns thing. You have a grid that reorder more properly. And so now it also makes it a tad glitchy, which is kind of sad. But it's also like because I'm on my computer, so that's the thing. So that's one of the things that I've worked on today, making sure that the grid is better. And the things from yesterday was in the purchase assistant. If you are looking for something, it's going to be added to um, like the list of thing that you just seen. And so you have like a research history, and so you can say, well, I'm just checking these ones. It's just showing you what you have already searched. So that's a pretty good option, I feel like, to just have the content. I might need to make it scroll back up when you select something, but I don't know. I'm still debating on this one. It's good, but it's not Good. Going back to what I was saying before it cut. When you're opening that view for the first time, you end up with the recent search directly here. So if you want to recheck the last one you just checked, you can just click on it and then it should open. The thing that I've seen is that sometimes I need to create a search or do a search first in order to basically trigger this and have like the database being loaded. So that's a thing, and we'll see if that's something that I need to fix later. And on desktop, right here, the app is crashing all the time, so I need to fix that as well. But yeah, as well or as long as this is done, I feel like I'm pretty good with it. Um, Most of the dev tools, admin tools now are more secure, kinda. It's not really the case, but it's kind of more secure when you have your password that are on server rather than being on device, obviously. But on device was way easier for me on testing modes. And yeah, so we have like a good, I would say good progress so far. Most of the things are fixed. I needed to add this fucking button. That weather, Apple weather button or icon needed to be there for Apple to basically approve the app entirely. So I did that. Now it's good. There is something that is kind of pissing me off is these buttons. I don't know exactly what specifically bothers me other than the fact that it's like a lot of buttons and a lot of visual things. Like it takes a lot of space. So I don't know. I feel like maybe there is a need for these buttons to be not using glass and using clear instead. But I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, that's mm, mm. I don't know if the glass effect clear is a good idea or if it's like glass effect glass. I forgot. I forgot. Also, that is wrong. My bad. Yeah. Uh, why is my autocomplete bad right now? Hmm. I really need to understand this. I feel like this is a combination of many things. The fact that, streaming at the same time as compiling is never a good idea. But, hmm, what is the thing? Is it like a background? Yeah, why is the autocomplete not autocompleting? That's the thing that pisses me off. Also, the glass is gonna make the same mistake. No, not gonna do that. So yeah, I don't know if it's something where instead of being primary, they need to be secondary so that they are not as visible as the plus that is the most important thing. Or if it's just like a matter of changing their color. Um, so having that in primary, I'm using the secondary instead. Maybe. I feel like secondary is gonna make them as if they were disabled and not like As important? I don't know. I don't know. Specifically, if I keep the plus at the same level, right? The plus being the most important button, and in there in primary, you then end up with these two on the side that are less visible or less prominent. But then the glass is a bit annoying. I really don't know what's pissing me off with this. It's just I I don't know. There also one of the reasons why it's pissing me off is I know that there is the need for a fourth button that is going to be related to the folders, because you will have the ability to make folders of your collection and then navigate throughout your folders. So that is something that needs to happen. It is basically the same thing as this. I don't even know if that's like still working, because you know dot has been, yeah, has been cut down. So that's the sad part. I can't access the thing. Aha, aha. Yeah, that's not gonna work. Dot used to have this navigation that is really good, that has like a pinch with two fingers that move out to the parent folder collection. And then if you zoom in or you expand on one of them, it just zoom inside of said element. So that is or was better, but right now we don't have anything. So yeah, we'll see. Not a lot of good apps that I've been testing lately, to be honest. Most of the things are just simple. We'll see. We will see. But yeah, there is like a navigation issue that needs to be fixed and need to be changed. I kind of have a bit of fear about navigation changes. I'm not gonna lie on that. When it comes to an app that you're building, most of the time, what is in my head is this is the navigation that you have today, and it's working and it does the job that you want it to do. But then tomorrow you figure out that you need a page that is in between the previous page and this one. And instead of creating that new page, you need a way to make sure that it feels natural for existing users without having them like feel um, not at home anymore. So it's a lot of like really annoying UX changes that I don't like to do, because the users are currently in a familiar environment and changing said environment makes no sense. So, for example, um, the thing that we have here, which I think we should have really quickly, really easily, if I were to change the, god damn, everything is so slow. If I were to change something that is related to the navigation system here, I feel like most people would probably be kind of thrown off, most of the currently active users that we have. If I change this navigation for something that is like liquid glass native, it might not feel as good as it is right now. If I were to change the way that the cards are presented, for example, maybe that would work, because it's just like, oh yeah, that card can be a very simple glass related sheet and be good with it, and you don't have to do anything about it. That's an option, but it's not like a big navigation change. And so all of that is the thing that I have to think about and prepare and make sure that everything is on point when I'm changing navigation. So right now, again, the point that I'm trying to make is here. Um, on this view, for example, I know that the navigation is going to need to change at some point. I just don't know exactly how it's going to change. And so that's the that's the issue. I don't want something that is going to be too drastic for the users, but I need something that is drastic enough so that I can 100% play with it and have something that just makes more sense. So we'll see. It's gonna be at some point done, but it's just like not today, not yet. Eh, you know, the regular things. Which is so far the app is released, which is good, which is the thing that we needed. Um, we have official release for everyone on Monday, and new features coming in as soon as I have them, as always. So yeah, good progress so far. Meaning, again, I think I said that once that's done and I have these, I can finally go back to play with Can and add like more stuff in here to, get some good outputs. So yeah, we'll see what we can do with this. So far, we have an app that is working-ish. And I don't think I have like a lot more sub features that are requested. Um, Other than people that are using Android are requesting Android. No. I don't think I can. Like having the Android version would definitely imply either a separated database, which I don't like, or a full rewrite of the database on iOS as well as the Android version, or alongside the Android version. So I don't know. The thing that we talked about last time was based on the fact that this database contain um, or will contain roughly like 2,000 records to 2,000 perfumes, 2,000, 200,000. My bad. That's too much for a lot of databases that exist. Like a lot of plans are like 10K is entry level, 20K is enterprise, and then above that is a company, and you need to call them to pay like thousands per month. So yeah, we'll see what we can do with that. It's a, it's gonna be fine. It's going to be fine. At least we have most of the thing that I need to have that is working, and we can play with other things. We can play with other things, which is good. So, in the sense of other things, we don't have a lot of liked. Again, it's going to be a lot, but like not a lot from this week in total. Where did we stop? Uh, I feel like we stopped somewhere around here, but no, we stopped here. Yes. We stopped exactly on that mouse. That is something that I saw right after. So they are still like playing with it. Again, I do really like what they have done visually speaking, and how it's presented seems to be pretty good. The comparison type with the Nothing phone design is it's a good marketing scheme, right? It's the same type of clear plastic plus uh, silver accent and so on. That would make sense. We'll see how it works. That's the only thing. The look of it, the output is really similar to the original um, Magic Mouse, which makes sense. So we'll see. We'll see if that comes out. We'll see if that comes out. Anyways, um, this was cute, but that's it. Like there is nothing specific, nothing really design related about it, but it's also kind of design related. This goes back to my usual take of get inspiration from everywhere, and this is a pretty cool thing. So this is a very simple repair that is done on the color of like a sweater or something. But instead of making it the same color as the sweater itself or finding the same yarn and something, having something that is really bright. This is some stuff that you could absolutely do inside of your UI to get like the attention of the user in specific parts of the UI or in specific elements of the UI. So you could have, and that's usually what happens where you go into the pricing tags, um, like pricing cards are going to be have something similar. Like it's basically this highlight is the same concept. Um, like a feature card is going to have like a bit of a highlighted corner here and there. So you could have just that will attract the eyes of the user. And so it's the exact same concept right here. You just attract the eye of the user to the color itself. So, just a nice touch. Just a nice touch. This one was crazy. The I don't know how that small of a camera looks that crispy. Like I can count the hairs on the dreads, and it's a bit of a crazy thing. Specifically when we zoom in again, like that's a webcam. That's crazy to me. Um, so yeah, we'll see the reviews and so on, but yeah, it's pretty impressive. Um, this one was just skewed for the animations and the transitions into things, and it goes back to the same single thing that is currently happening of straight, not straight. Everything is not exactly centered and aligned to where it needs to be, but it also has a very cool design overall. Specifically these things, right? But again, everything that you're hovering, everything that you are interacting with have these straight, not straight pattern that I've kind of coined last year. So when you are like hovering your books themselves, they have like a bit of a shift of 1 degrees, 2 degrees of rotation. Most of the things that are like text related are going to be straight because obviously it's going to be better. But yeah, it's a very interesting concept. The design is pretty cool. I feel like some of these might benefit from having like more texture, more effects, and so on. But overall, really cool concept and things. I don't know exactly if it's something that I would use. I doubt it, but we never know. We never know. Um, we've had this pop in, and this one specifically is the one I wanted to talk about. These things of torn paper, these stack of torn paper in that app specifically was something that we used to do. And as we said, this is not something that happens and is like common in most apps. The thing that I've been seeing lately is that a lot of people are being fed these designs, and then their brain is telling them to introduce said patterns in their own projects and own products. And it doesn't work. The reason why it doesn't work is because you don't have the rest of the app that match the vibe. Like for here, for example, if one match was to be torn out, it would need to be like a very specific type of design, and it would need to work with how the app icon is in there and so on. But if the rest of your app is extremely flat, but you just have one thing, it's going to stand out. If you have multiple things across the app, like if it's even if it's like 2 to 3, not necessarily something that is like all the time, but like just small pieces here and there, that's going to work. But if it's just one, it kind of stand out. Like this thing, for example, it's okay because it's in here, it's in combination with these, but also these elements are going to be presented inside of here, for example. So if I make a mistake, these are taking some skeuomorphic take, and the cards themselves have a bit of weight to them, a bit of sizes and so on. That kind of works. It doesn't work all the time, but it kind of works. So, just having consistency of elements here and there just makes things work better. And most people, when they are seeing this thing, they're like, oh, cool, we could just 100% just re-add that torn paper at the top. But that's the only thing. The rest of the app is just flat. That's not going to work. So, yeah, small detail. Small detail. We talked about that last stream on Wednesday. This is kind of the new trend of these cutout collage monochromatic environment. So, is it a pattern? Probably. Is it a good pattern? I don't know. It's something. It is something that is interesting. It's something that I've been seeing for a while, and it's something that has influenced me to do some or to take some specific direction in the design of some of the thing that I've worked on. So, you know, like that's the thing. This one was just funny. Apparently, Trump did an announcement at 3 p.m. in Washington, and that person just said, please, not another browser, which I think is really good timing based on the fact that we just had a new browser from OpenAI 2 days ago or 3 days ago. So I think that's funny. That's it. That is it. We've talked about that before. We talked about that as well. This one was just cool for the overall output, like the way that everything looks is pretty neat. And because it's Thrive, it's a bit of an interactive thing. So, fun stuff. Fun activities. This one is interesting for me specifically because that drop looks, I'm not saying that it looks similar as it's the same. Like it looks similar in the sense that I think I have that in the app icon by now. Like it's not the same, obviously, but there is a vibe about it that kind of is similar. I feel like the one that I've made is mostly going like toward you, and the one that they have done here is um, more like insetted inside of the frame, based on the fact that the border is lighter than the inside, specifically at the top. So that's a bit of a concave thing, which is similar to that element right here. Whereas me, it's more of a drop. So small details, but interesting nonetheless. Interesting nonetheless to see these things happening. That's it. That's the only reason why I kept this one. That is the only reason. This one was cute, but for many reasons. Like I haven't read, you know, the post in the slightest. The only thing that I'm seeing is the fact that this looked like a plain window. Obviously, that's the goal. And if these are like your stories, it's an interesting point of view. You are traveling to your friends' stories. So, it's a small concept. I don't know if it's a good idea. I don't know if it's a bad idea, but yeah. Um, Anyways, moving on. There's been like other things. I feel like same thing. This is for Yan as well because it's orange and so on. And it goes back to some of the design choices that we've made last month. I think, yeah. Last month or 2 months ago, I forgot, where these style of things were coming in as more and more popular for no fucking reason. It's an interesting thing. It's something that we used to do a long time ago in Android when we had 9 patches for the creation of your buttons and other things because it's easier. But yeah, that's a very simple thing to create. It might be annoying to build in Figma. Let me be clear on this. But it's a very interesting concept nonetheless. If you wanted to have like that thing, you basically need to have your side elements to be part of like a frame on the sides. It's a bit annoying because you don't have the exact same amount of spacing, but you end up with something that is pretty interesting. So it's either on the side or either the top and bottom, but right now, based on how it looks, it's probably side to side. It seems just such a wrong thing around here, so I'm not just unsure. Just unsure. Unless it's placed in like an absolute positioning, but that's really bad. So, you know, yeah. Similarly to what we showcased last time on Wednesday, these are kind of coming back, going back to the blue one that was underneath. This is an interesting pattern that is growing. Um, there are a lot of issues with this specific presentation that are like for me some editorial issues where you end up with uh, arrive all off. You had enough space here to have the AL. It would have ended up kind of close to the flower for sure, but you had the space. And that is a bit of an issue, specifically for having like um, spring alone. It should be just off spring right here. It would fit as well. But yeah, there are some small details that I'm not like the biggest fan, but overall it is part of the pattern of duotone, monochromatic-ish um, posters and images. So yeah, take that as a pattern, I guess. Um, similar to this, again, coming back to very much the fact that I'm showcasing basically the same design pattern 3 times on one day should give you a bit of a hint that this is a very big pattern right now where people are just either have been working on that thing for the past 3 months and just how are all releasing at the same time, or it has become such an interesting design choice that a lot of people are just following through half blindly, and you end up with everyone looking the same, having the same patterns. So yeah, this one was just cute, but that's it. It doesn't have a lot of meaning, or at least from this point of view, doesn't have a lot of meaning. Um, but yeah, that's about it. This one was interesting for that chart specifically. The way that it's presented is interesting, not necessarily good, but interesting. And they have like, they seem to be an app for productivity, which again seems to be something that designers right now are just trying to build. It is the third one that I've seen in my feed. I have one on my phone that I don't really like because it just doesn't make any sense. But also, it's a nicely designed app. So obviously, I'm gonna check them out and see if things make sense. We talked about them before. This is a, an app that gives you like a bit of an idea of your energy burst during the day and what you can do and so on. And I'm supposed to use it in order to get that wave to be a bit more normalized and that look more aligned with my like chronotype and so on. But that's never the case. So we never know. It's supposed to take like data from a lot of different points, but it has like a very good overall navigation, UI, micro interactions, and so on. So, just having fun with it is pretty cool. But it's also a productivity app, and it's one of the most annoying notification holder. Like I'm receiving 30-ish notification per day. It's crazy. They need to figure something out. Nonetheless, similar concept overall of making sure that you have like less distraction in your day, you have better productivity during your active sessions and so on. So that's an interesting thing. You know, small details, small stuff. This is going to piss off a lot of devs that are not using iOS as their main stuff because that specific transition is a native thing. Basically, if you get your icon, like the initial icon is the download, which is like this one, for example, and you say that your transition is going to be not a bounce, but a replace, and said replace is going to be it's going to replace with like the square and arrow up for now for this specific use case. It's just it's just a one-click thing, and it does the whole transition. And so I can copy that code specifically, and then just drop that, not here, right there, for example. And that's the modifier that is content transition replace with what it needs to be replaced. So I need to have the entirety of the two icons and so on. But that's a very interesting system, and it's also again it's a native thing in SwiftUI and in SF symbols. So again, for the devs that are not on iOS, I'm sorry, because these transitions might be a bit more complex and annoying to create. Those of you who are, this is just a dot replace, and you're good. You're good to go. So yeah, we do like to create these things. That's neat. I have no understanding of what Sky app is. I know what multi was, is. I have it on this computer. Um, the sad part of this is mostly the app icons because these app icons looks amazing. They have so much personality and characters and so on. But because of how the new version of macOS requires you to have like your icon design, these can't exist. And so we end up with things that just look like shit. Like meld has the meld word that is a bit bigger than its container, and therefore the the system is containing that inside of what needs to be the size of the icon. So that's really sad, and I'm really happy with it. Not really sad about it, really not happy with it, and still not happy with Arc being the only dickhead in that fucking doc to not take the color scheme. So we'll see. But yeah, that's the sad part about these icons. They are otherwise really, really good. And I wish macOS allowed still these things, but no. This one was a very specific take. We've been talking for the past year about the tabs and bottom tabs or top tabs for subcards. This one goes one step further with a tab tabbed. So you have your main card that has a tab for the button, and that main card is inside of its container that looks basically like a tab with the information underneath. And that whole thing is contained into a plaque that also has a card inside. So you are getting a plaque with a card within a card that has a card inside, and sometimes there is a header that could have been a card as well. So this is a lot of encapsulation and inception of your content in your design, which goes back to what I said to Alan on Wednesday, where there is like yeah. In junior designers, and me included, when I was less experienced, and even now when I'm just trying to go or do things really fast, there is a bit of a pattern of creating cards and containers around the content as often as possible so that you know where things are. And so you are creating like your element, and you're just adding, like, let's say I have my text as always. I have my hello text, and that thing, I need to know exactly where the bounds are for this thing. So I'm just gonna create like a section, make it red, and now I have my container around my hello, and I can move on to something else. I know that I need like two of them side by side with two different elements. So these two are gonna need to be a card as well. So I'm just gonna add uh, a bit of a blue background so that we have something underneath that makes sense. For the sake of the exercise right here, I know that we would have like an image underneath these two things, and the container for this is gonna have like probably 8 points left and right and so on, and that thing is gonna have like a different feel and so on, and so you end up with so much um, basically container around container around container, to imply that you get the box model of the elements that are currently inside of your presentation. And so with that in mind, you basically end up with you can choose to red at 40% again. You end up with so much sub-level of cards, which is basically what happens here, that are not necessary in the end product. And the issue that I'm seeing most of the time is that you, as junior designer, are going to have or take the time to design these containers, making sure that like the borders are right, the radius are right, and so on, where they are supposed to be here to help you understand the box model. So here, for example, if the gray background here was not there and the white card was not there either, you just have the plaque with, or the plaque with the screws. That text would be engraved in it because you have like a lot of other core effect all around the place. And then the only important element would be that container with that button tab thingy in the center. That would make a lot more sense, and you remove the noise that is coming from that design. That's just a rant about how to do stuff and how to build your components. But the fact that this is a common pattern, at least from what I've done before and from what I do still, when I'm just going quickly, I just need to see things and understand the containers. I just go fast and create a ton of them with different colors. So my recommendation is, if you want to understand how your box model is working, make sure that each of your boxes are as simple as possible. Don't play with the design too much. And if you have to play with the design to make sure that you understand what is there, make them red, make them green, make them a color that is not like what could be considered as the end color. So instead of using your background default, if that's something that you have as a variable, just use a bright color, pink, something that just you would never see, so that you end up on a view where you have like highlighted elements of the thing that needs to be touched. So for example, here, I'm gonna go from very far away, I think. Um, in that page that is gonna load for or take a long time to load, the these red things are places where I know that I need to do things. and I'm staying far away for some reason. But yeah, like these things are places where I know I have stuff to do. So, you know, interesting, good thing to know, and so on. Making sure that I can see that in my file and then go back to work on that really quickly without to think too much. Anyways, that was a long ass rant on this one. I saved this one for the same reason as usual. It's going back to the pastel, but it's combining the pastel and the vibrant colors right here and right here. So I wouldn't say it's a pattern, but it's mostly pastel, which to me implies that this thing has been created last year, or at least thought about since last year or middle of this year. Um, and yeah, I I mean, again, we're going through the same cycle, so that's where we are. We are currently on the pastel, transitioning back to vibrant colors. For the designer, the companies are gonna get to the pastel at the end of the year, beginning of next year. The implementation and the time that it takes for the devs and the designers to decide internally and so on to make the changes. So I'm expecting next year to be more pastel, more like breathing room, a lot more organic shapes. And then once the companies have all implemented their new design and so on, that is basically when most designers are fed up with that new trend of pastel and transition in more space and so on. And we probably will have like a bit of wave of brutalism again, um, and some vibrant colors coming back for sure, for sure. Um, but yeah, that's um, that's the thing. These ones were cute. They are using the Nano Banana image gen. It's pretty impressive. I mean, I'm really impressed by Nano Banana overall and how consistent it can be. Like, that's really, really impressive. I do think that it's gonna, or it should, probably like take over Photoshop, or at least be acquired by Photoshop at some point. I don't know. Or Photoshop have something similar. We'll see. Anyways, Nox, hi, welcome in. How are you? How is your week? How's everything? We talked about this before. This is the new Cloudflare logo thing, and it's pretty cool. It's missing some details in my eyes, but yeah, it's it's nice. It's nice. Again, pastels. Mm-hmm. Ah, these ones are stickers. Stickers are always really cool. That's the thing that I'm trying to implement. The dot concentric is something that I haven't tried just yet. I kind of need to, but also I don't exactly know if I want them to be um concentric all the time. So we'll see. We'll see how things happen. I feel like I'm still calculating at in some situations. Like I mean, in some situations, in most situations, I'm still calculating. Specifically in the discovery, like here, for example, I don't think you can see that, but the the corners of the outside of the container and the corners in the inside of the containers, because of the distance, I'm just hard coding them because that's easier. I could just have that set to concentric uniform, but I'm also like, I don't know, it feels out of place. So maybe, I don't know. I will use that at some point. I just, for now, I can't. Um, for now, I cannot. This one was really cool. Um, it's a very interesting concept of displaying the vector and the vector color. So based on the direction of the arrows, you have a different color, and it end up with very interesting illustration. And I feel like this is really cool. That's it. Like it could create things really quickly, and it could basically create interactive elements that react to the user's navigations and so on simply by having a vector directional color scheme. It's really cool. Chris, you asked about that earlier. I feel like this is an interesting component you could have in Framer for sure. Not necessarily something that is drawing related, but something that just react to the direction of the arrows. Like, let's say that might be a bit intensive, like calculation intensive. But if the user is just moving the arrow in a very specific direction, like from point A to point B, that could change the color of the background. Not like instantly with a smooth transition and so on, but it could be just a thing. If you enter an image at a diagonal angle, it goes into that diagonal angle in the color scheme. Again, it's basically a vector calculation point. So you have entry point and then point at X amount of pixels, like usually like 3 or 10 or something, enough to give you a direction, and then that generates the explosion, the entry point, the highlight, the hover effect that you need to have, and so on. So that's it's a component that you can have in Framer for sure, for sure. Anyway, this one was really cool. This is something that I want to have in the app. As I said, these folders are going to be necessary for me to have in the app so that you can see your whole like collection and play with it. They have made an amazing job right here at creating these transition in between scenes and so on. And I have a feeling that this is using Portal, the thing that Heather has created. And the more I'm seeing these things, the more I'm like, I need to figure out how to do these animations in transition because that's what's necessary um in the whole system that I have. So yeah. We'll see. We will see. Um, so yeah, very cool animations and so on. This one was neat. I don't know if it's real. I feel like it is. But if you have um, a prescription for 8 days or for 4 days, twice a day, I don't know. Uh, it's a very cool marketing things to get I don't know, the astrology people because it's a constellation. It looks nice. It's a lot more pricier to have that in your R&D and creation of the packaging and so on, but it looks pretty cool. So, we like it. We like it. It's fun. It is fun. This is something that pops in every year. Andy's reposting this thing every time, and it's Mizi. Hi, welcome on. How are you? How was your week? How's everything? This one is again reposted every time, and every time is getting like as much fucking traction as possible. And it's just it's impressive because if that is like a payable person, like someone that is eligible to getting paid by posting on Twitter, that post alone every year is probably giving them like something along the line of eligibility for the payment, and then the rest is just free money. So, it's pretty impressive. It is pretty impressive. So, yeah. This one was cute. I had like a lot of doubts in the beginning of was this something that was created after the fact, but it seems based on what I can see that it's a bit too close to be like something that was created after the fact, or something that was created before this one was created. I feel like they did that. Also, congrats on lending. They did that, and then they recreated or traced it, or I don't know. But yeah, there is something really interesting about this. I feel like I could try that. um, Specifically now. Goddamn, that's big. That's what she said. Um, as in the make an image system. Um, I don't know. Yeah. That's the type of thing that could also happen, specifically now, going back to what I said before and what I've presented many times uh, with Michal's creations. Like, where's that person? Goddamn. I'm never gonna find that user. That is not someone that I follow actively, so I can't have their name. Um, but they've been talking about their new app, and we've been talking about it, and we've been showcasing it as well. And it's just such a weird thing because the sketches that they are showcasing are really exactly the same as the design output that they have created. And so some shit like this would be uh, feasible. And if you just glance at it, like I'm not gonna lie about that, but like if you just glance at this, um, you can probably just believe it if it's in a case study somewhere. Oh yeah, I did that on paper and it was like pretty interesting and so on. I don't know. It feels like it's a bit too perfect, as said before, but it could be an addition in anyone's process just to have your sketches done. Like if you forgot to have um like the wireframes for your apps and you needed to have said wireframes. No, that's a fucking it's the wrong one. um let's use this one. Where and who did that? There. So if I'm taking this and I'm saying make an image and I say UX designer wrote wireframes. Let's see if it works. Let's see if it works. I don't know. Yeah. It's a bit too exact, right? It has all the things and the details. It's mostly has outputted like um, black and white and so on. Kept the blur, which is really impressive, and the color scheme and the correct icons. But again, if you just need that, like uh, dumb it down as a wireframe from for something like that's a way to get your case studies to have like wireframes if you don't or if you haven't made them in the first place. Could be interesting. As always, and I'm gonna say that many times. This, you know, this AI thing that Figma is having right now, based on what they have said in the config of this year, AI features inside of Figma are currently free, and they are debating the pricing that needs to go around them, and that pricing will go into effect in January, basically next year. So if you haven't tried them out, and or if you haven't drained your available like tokens and things, please do. Use these features one while you have them for free if you have access to them. And yeah, after that, maybe it's gonna get removed. It's gonna be sad. An interesting point. Anyways, that's a cool thing. I need to pee 1 second. Anyways, yeah. Um. So this one was really fun for me for the order in which I saw them. I saw this one first, and then I saw that followed through here. Basically, Jitter is adding a lot of new things and a lot of new plugins for Figma and so on. And Robbie right here, I don't know if they work for Jitter. I think they do. But they are saying like Jitter is the best way to bring like your Figma buzz, whatever, to animations and so on. And then apparently you can't export anything unless you're paying them. So they are promoting this thing that is a free plugin, apparently. And then if you want to work with the work that you've done and export that, you need to pay for that. Which again, I understand it's a very capitalistic thing and a very simple way to work with users, making sure that you lock them in because they now know how to use the tool. They have done the entire thing, but you do need to get onto a team plan um, in order to be able to export transparent stuff, which, as August is pointing out, the pro plan that you have, which you already pay for, doesn't let you export the videos. That is crazy. Like, if I'm paying for the fucking service and I'm using the service, I'm expecting to be able to use the exports. Um, so yeah, that's a pretty interesting thing. Um, Anyways, this one from Jay was really good as always. Jay is really good as always. But this is a really cool rendering of liquid glass inside of CSS and SVG filters. So we've talked about it before. We uh, we saw exactly how it was working and so on. And this one specifically has was supposed to have the CSS inside of the CodePen view, but yeah, I'm guessing this one is also like in CodePen from Jay. So, cool stuff. If you are someone that is a dev that is doing front end work and your designers don't know, usual, very usual, that you don't have the ability to do some glass inside of your code by default, then maybe J might be a good idea for you to just check out. And I'm gonna go to the CodePen stuff every time. God damn it! I'm just gonna share that. That CodePen is really useful. Like anything you want, um, you know, glass disbursements and so on. That was done basically on the day of the or the next day after Apple released liquid glass or announced it at least. And yeah, it works. So if you are a front end dev and you're working with a designer that wants you to have some glass inside of your outputs, J is a bit of a good option to go check and so on. That header and that the portal thing that they are working on, they have been working with, and so that's basically what I'm trying to use for what I need in the app. That's the only reason. This one is really cool. It's a really simple display of low pixel, but it's also a dithering this display in a way. The output is really cool looking. So just sharing the things. Just sharing the things. Same thing. These are effects that I would love to see on hover on fonts, for example. A dithering explosion on a radius around where my cursor is, with a bit of a delay on the restructuring. It's the same thing as the text that I showcased earlier, but yeah, it's really cool. It is really cool. This one is something that I used to do and then I stopped. This is basically just Photoshop before Photoshop. So you have all of the elements that needs to be in the page because you know exactly what you want to have, and then you can just play with them physically and place them wherever you need them to be in the grid and end up with a different layout every time. And just make sure that all the thing that needs to be added are present, are displayed, layout is good, layout is not good, and so on. And then you will have your output where it needs to be. There is so many options. This is some of the thing that we used to do, but we used to do that with transparent paper, like printing on transparent paper or transparent plastic, basically. And then we would have the ability to just place things wherever and play with that. So you can have like overlapping and so on, and then you scan the thing and you have your poster. So stuff that I used to do in school, really cool. But yeah, if you are not sure and if you don't know, I think I kind of did that on this one or the other. The other. Um, I talked about it, kind of. I don't think I will have that easily. I think it's on the other other page or other book that I have. Um, but basically just creating or making sure that you have the layout done or the layout understood on your end is the easiest way to go fast. So shit like this is going to be like a very simple options. Like you just have your layout and your stuff and it makes sense. Or and things like this, like very simple layout shift expend like exploration and so on. These are the type of stuff that I usually do when I'm unsure about what shape needs to happen inside of the design. And you know, if I need details, can you focus, please? Bitch. Thank you. God damn. Yeah. Like right now, I'm working on these ones that needs to be some sort of a sticker or tags or additional elements that would be like on some of the details page of the app. And I didn't really know what shape needed to be used and which shape would be the best. So I just, you know, tried some experiments on the side. It's basically the same thing. Like pen and paper is usually the fastest for most people. And Dan is also a very cool option. So if you have the options, do they? Do they? This one is pissing me off. No, that's not true. This one is interesting for many reasons. Um, Apparently, let me see. Yeah. So Screenty, this thing is an a Chrome add-on that basically lets you record your screen and do whatever the fuck you want with that recording. And it seems pretty interesting. The website is pretty cool, and whatever. They are creating Slash Pro, which is a one-time payment, $96 once, or sorry, $96 per year. And it's basically everything that Screen Studio is doing, but with a better design kind of thing. Not exactly, but kind of. And they seem to have like a bit of a more interactive elements on how you can add titles, how you can add other things inside of the recording system. But I'm also unsure about how like these things work. Like, are you placing all of the layers in a pre-comp? Are you doing that somewhere else? I don't know. It's not really explained. So I would need to make like to check it out. But I feel like because it's a 7-day trial, it's gonna be, oh, you need to give me your bank account information first so that you can download it, which is never good because I always forget. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. It seems to be pretty cool of an app. Um, and if you are someone that is like into screen recording, like Loom videos, maybe this one is good. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it seems cool. It seems cool. That's about it. Nothing else. Nothing else. Rafa has made more icons, and we've been talking about the icons before. They are doing the thing that I didn't do and thought about doing inside of my icons as well, and didn't. And that is these reveal cuts that are um, basically tapered every time. Makes a lot more sense than just cutting them out. And so having these create a lot more organic shapes in your icon that seems to be a bit better. So that is probably something that I will steal from Rafa at some point. I think we need to talk about this one. This is the Apple Vision Pro option. That person is playing a game and now is using their phone, but still playing the game. I am impressed by the fact that the occlusion is good, and as soon as the phone is not in use, it just goes back to the fucking game. This is impressive. Uh, you know, impressive. Like the understanding of, oh, you are looking at your phone. You picked up your phone and you're looking at your phone. Um, you know, and then just giving you exactly what you need to see your phone through the headset is pretty impressive. So, details. Details. Um, we talked about that last month, where Samsung, I think, was or got this thing going, and that's their best rendering of active blur for the content. And it just takes a screenshot and blurs it and put it in the background. You know, that's how it works on Android in some situations. And Luca is just showcasing their iPhone 5C running iOS 7, which is a 12 years old phone that just has that blur effect built in since that time, still running. And yeah, that's impressive. That's it. That's all I have to say about that. For the people that are into open source, apparently VST3 are now open source, which is pretty cool. So VSTs on plugins? No. Add-ons, I guess. Usually, most of the time, 99% of the time, for music-related things, for like sound, um, modifier, and other activity like your equalizer, EQ, ducking, and so on. And VSTs, apparently, for this one specifically, used to be not open source, but now it is. So that is a good news, I guess. I would say that's a good news. But yeah, all design. That's it. That's about it. This one was really cute. Um, a small flower gallery of 1.5K flowers. I don't know if they have been drawn by hands. I just thought Anna has popped in my feed today with two different things, like this one and this one. But yeah, apparently they are building an app or product or something that is just an island, and you can grow flowers on the islands, and it's hand-drawn flowers, and it's look cool and so on. You know, going back to what I said, made, organically made content is going to be really, really big in 2026. So yeah, and this one is the new icon for Sketch in beta, obviously. But yeah, that's the thing. I don't know if I agree with it. Looks stunning. It looks good, but stunning. I don't know. I don't know. There's something about it. Something about it. Anyways, this one was cool for the effect, and it's well done for once. I know it took a while, but the overall understanding of what's happening and how the process is working, all of that makes a lot of sense. And when you're looking at this on your landing page, I feel like you can clearly understand from physical to physical going through a pipe of data, like that type of thing. So the rendering is good. And yeah, if you are a gamer, you would probably 100% agree with this one. you have the option to delete one thing from video games, and you can choose whatever you need to delete. The person that replied said, the shareholders. And I think we would all agree that if games didn't have to be profitable and just be games for the sake of games, we would have such a better ecosystem of games forever. So, yeah, I think I agree with that take. I think I absolutely agree with that take. Um, we've been talking about that before, and it happens, but you can get all the thing that I'm recommending every time, the laws of UX, the tools of design, the other resources that we have that just gives us so much information in no time, will basically give you all the information you need to like understand UX. And that's why I'm saying that, most of the time UX designers is a very easy thing to achieve. And UI is just reps. You just need to do more UI to figure out how to use your tools in a way that just makes sense to you, makes sense to your team, and works well with the thing that you're trying to achieve. Which is the reason why I'm going through the creation of these, right? Because that is forcing me to get into a brain state of how the fuck do I achieve this? Like, how is the thing feasible in the tool that I have to end up with the same results without really destroying everything or destroying myself or understanding how the physical things is supposed to work and so on. So all of that is, just a small detail, just a small thing that helps. And these practice is just simply going to give you all the information you need to master the tool, not the UI itself. But if you are someone that is looking for UI related work, doing the same thing based on UI that you find, so let's say like you find this and you like it, do the reps, go into Figma, your design tool of choice, and just recreate the thing. That will give you so much information. And yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. We talked about it. We said that before. UI is repetition and UX is just knowledge. So once you have the knowledge, you have it. Um, usually, you can lose the knowledge, but it's also like not necessarily the thing that happens most of the time. Um, but yeah, once you have read the entirety of this website and understood the entirety of this website, usually you're kind of good. Usually you're kind of good. They have added like more new concepts, like the mental model and the paradox of active users. These are kind of new, but nonetheless, still good. Um, but yeah, that's mostly it for Twitter for today. I think we don't have much more than that. Most of the thing that we have is just like the creations and yeah. There's been a Chris going back to 2 months ago, but also to other people that are thinking about building products right now. I think we talked about it, but I forgot. There is a lot more tools that are using canvases as their interfaces, and things like this are kind of popular. So, based on that fact, I said that before, the fact that you already have two that are using canvases with infinite Canva kind of thing and node management, linkage in between elements and so on. These are portfolio pieces that you can have really, really easily. simply by the fact that it is extremely popular and not in demand, but kind of in demand at that instant. So if you just have that in your portfolio and you say, well, I have done infinite Canva, node-based editors uh, multiple times, this is something that could give you or lend you a job more easily than if you didn't. But yeah, this is something I've been seeing for a bit. It's not on every platforms, obviously, but it's a lot of platforms that are just doing a ton of Canva and node-based navigations, node-based editing. Um, and yeah, it's cool. So if you're into that, that works. That will work. But yeah, that's overall, that is the thing that we have. We haven't had like a lot more stuff added. Um, and that's just not a good idea. So yeah, the good news, side good news about the app being validated and approved, that's the word, approved by Apple last Tuesday, I think. Monday, I forgot. Anyways, the build that they approved was build 99 or 100. So yeah, build 100 was the what the bill that we had that just got like approved, and it made me laugh for what I currently have in my um, test flight environment. So in here, all of my test flight things, not that you need to see the details, but if I'm looking at distills, for example, the current creation, and specifically when I'm looking at that on the iPad, we have like a bit of a better option. This is the build 8.5. So they've done 8 builds so far in the beta version. If I'm looking at B-rolls, for example, we are currently on build 10. And what I'm seeing is that most of the apps that are currently in this feed of stuff that I'm testing, um, usually they are extremely, extremely low level build numbers. You can't necessarily change the build numbers in the test flight thing, and the versioning in test flight makes no sense to me. Like it makes way more sense to have kept like Perfume 1.0 for the longest time, and then 1.01 is when it was basically validated, and I'm currently on build 108. It's going to switch to 1.02 when I'm pushing a new version. But that, so far, is such an interesting thing for me as a non-dev, right? Again, still. The amount of builds that I have in my test flight things is crazy. Like I have 288 builds in test flights for Can, and that alone is more builds pushed to the beta testers to get feedback than some apps have had production versions. So I'm getting way more feedbacks than most people, and I'm editing things so fast. God damn, not really. But like I'm making the changes that needs to happen or adding the features that I have in my head as soon as I have them, and then I'm just pushing the content directly. I'm testing it, obviously, on device, and then when I have enough confidence that this feature is good enough for what it needs to be, I'm sending the first batch, even if the thing in question is very, very minimal and not necessarily like a good implementation. I'm just sending it to make sure that the users that I have would be, or the beta tester in that case, would be okay with what I'm proposing. So, for example, the one that is just sent right now is this section where you have your layering options and you have the layer perfume at the top, that is the one that you are currently wearing or the last one you wore, and the ability to go in there and select the perfume that you have in your collection and then say, oh, yeah, I'm going to wear that as a base layer and I just want to see what is the like most obvious layering that I can do tomorrow with this thing. That is good enough, not great, but good enough. And it just gives you, as the builder, the creator, so much more feedback from the user that says, well, this is pretty good, but it could be a grid because I'm used to see my collection in a grid, for example. Like that's one feedback that I got. So now I know that if I go back, Stony, hi, what morning? You're late today. That's crazy. Almost a mess. Almost. Um, the goddamn. So the thing is, if I do that now, like I'm adding the versioning of this section to be, in a grid view so that you just have the perfume bottles and the names and maybe the percentage left inside. That could be an option. Apparently, it seems to be pretty appreciated. So I'm probably going to do that. The usual thing. So yeah, we'll see what we can do about that. But that's the only point that I wanted to make is that I'm just publishing and sending builds to the beta testers so often that we end up with too much, as in 288 on this one, 110 already on this one. And yeah, it's a lot. How is the week, Stony? How's everything? Did you arrive late? I talked about that before, but I've been getting these, which is like creatine and the usual, right? Usual thing. And for some fucking reason, they are requiring um, 1 spoon of this per day. And 1 spoon is 4 grams of powder. That's a lot of powder. And based on research, 4 grams is the lower base level of where it starts to potentially, you can see some things. But if you go to 10 or 12, you get like more efficiency. So now I'm pre-scooping every time. And I have an issue with that specific powder because it is not dissolving in water as well as it should. So I'm getting that crunchy liquid. And I mean, I don't think you can see that, but you might be able to see that the bottom of this thing is just filled with like white dust. Yeah, you can't see shit. So that's why I'm like shaking the thing every time. Anyways, exhausting week. Well, yeah, same. Same. I had to take a nap. My body forced myself to take a nap today, which is kind of crazy. That is not something that happens. It is not, but it still happened. So, you know, goddamn, goddamn. On the side note, I forgot who, where that happened. There, yes. Let me see. Can I find it? Yeah. This thing right there is a TikTok that shows you a lot of the like learning software, whatever. And they have done other softwares as well. And they are giving you like a bit of a list of the videos that you need to basically watch in order to understand everything. This is, or these are 6 videos in total for the base thing, plus one that is related to liquid glass at the end for like an effect and things. You're not supposed to go down. um, and so, like that's the interesting thing. I would never recommend you learn After Effects because it's gonna lock you into After Effects and just have After Effects skills, which implies that you need to pay the fucking subscription. So, you know, don't do that. However, I would highly recommend you to take a look at all of these videos, watch them all without the goal of learning After Effects, but with the goal of learning the concept and the understanding of what is the thing that they're trying to achieve. So for Mask, it's something that is going to be very simple, but also necessary to learn. For tracking is something that is absolutely necessary when you are doing project and you need to just have like a mask tracking around a subject or something else, which, you get the mask and then you understand the tracking and then you move on into the animations and so on. So all of that are things and concept that I would highly recommend you to just take a look at if you are learning animation to get the best output and the best understanding without necessarily needing to understand and to use After Effects in the end, because the concept of keyframes is not an After Effects related or only After Effects only thing. You can just use that knowledge with everything. Same thing for the welcome to After Effects. It will give you like a bit of an overview of what you can do in there. And if you go into another platform like Jitter, like Fable, if it still exists, like other motion design related tools, you would have a better understanding and therefore um, a better output in terms of animations. So highly recommend. And then if I do remember properly, they have done like other videos like this for DaVinci Resolve. If you're someone who's doing editing, all of these videos seems to be pretty simple, but it's the same thing. DaVinci is going to be pretty good as a recommendation because it's kind of free. It is free, but it's kind of free. The pro version gives you access to some things that are useful in some cases, but not all the times. So, but yeah, overall, like all of that is a uh, very cool option, and you can learn everything, anything, mostly from these videos and these kind of, kind of thing. So you just need, just need to learn the transition, to learn the concepts, uh, and then moving on. So yeah, that account highly recommend just for the source of the videos because we don't necessarily just know where the things are. So that's a good recommendation. Small stuff. Small stuff. I think I think that's mostly it on this. We had other things, Chris, that was for you specifically, but then I think I forgot. But yeah, this one was for you. Um, how like this one is a music related like sound creation. You have your hands that define where things are, and you can move stuff around, and then the mics are picking up other things. It's really interesting and impressive to see how they have created this. It's not for what you were trying to create of motion design linked to the movement that is basically the user doing things related to the music itself. This is creating the music through the movement itself, but yeah, pretty cool concept nonetheless. Um, so yeah, there was something on Andrew's channel. Fuck, I put the H in the wrong spot. Um, and he's made a video lately with uh, this thing, which is a set of plugins for music creation, and it's the most impressive UI for like everything I've seen in MIDI and other plugins for music and so on. So if you are into that, um, check it out. Same thing. But yeah, there is a ton of things in rendering the visuals of the sounds that kind of would benefit anyone to just, take that as an inspiration. And going back to what I said 16 years ago, um, these, even though you might be a designer that is not necessarily aware and or interested in music creation and plugins related to music creation, you would highly benefit, um, from getting inspired by these whole plugins, mainly because when you look at the design themselves and how things are behaving, like specifically these things when we zoom in a bit later, um, like the way that these are working and that the sound is behaving inside of the patterns and so on. Like all of this is really impressive for a MIDI plugin in music creation. And then the rendering and the way that you see how things are rendered, uh, really impressive. So again, getting that as an inspiration source is really cool. And yeah, it's neat. So yeah, and they have like a ton of things in there that are really cool looking. So as always, music generation is one of these spaces where you end up with creations that are really interesting when it comes to their tools and their toolings and the thing that they need to use on a daily basis to just create the sounds. And it's the same thing we talked about Beauty Man before. Bitch. But most of his set and most of his creation, that thing is a mix of the thing that I just showcased from GRM and other plugins and other thing that he built himself just to create the sounds properly through the iPads. And it just ended up being really, really impressive. So yeah, that video specifically is just, we kind of talked about it before, um, explaining what it is and how it works and how things are inside of each of the iPads. And you see how chaotic it is. And so as a designer from outside, I'm seeing this and I'm like, this is crazy. This is like impractical, but it is what makes Beauty Man really impressive and kind of works in its own genre. So again, if you're interested in weird ass UI, this one is really cool because you just end up with the whole complexity and things are just accessible, touchable at a glance. You don't need to swatch or switch pages. It's just it's impractical practicality. So, you know, it's neat. It's neat. Anyways, it's a very interesting thing. Um, so yeah, so I don't know why Andrew was not in my list before. That's crazy. But overall, good stuff, good presentation. The plugins are really nice. The UI is really cool. you can have like really interesting understanding of how they are creating the sounds and the waves and the UI itself, and how like each of the plugins that they are using at JRM are standalone plugins, so you can just use one and then be done. But yeah, highly recommend as a reference for UI and inspiration for specifically for dashboard. I think these, with the amount of knobs and sliders and and data-driven content, I feel like this is a really good thing for dashboard if you're building a data-heavy environment that your user needs to just play with all the time. That's going to be useful. But yeah, um, that's mostly everything that I have so far, I think. Yeah, there are things that I need to work on, but I just can't. I know, I know. Um, Basically, I need to create some stickers, and I have like a set of predefined stickers thing that I kind of want to have, but I haven't just done it. I mean, the reason why I can't really work on it right now is because I haven't done the research just yet to make sure that I have all of the stickers that I need. The only thing that I know is that I will have a yes and a no sticker, that's for sure. Each of these will probably have three variations for, the sake of being a bit original and more interesting. And then there was an idea at some point, but it just doesn't make any sense anymore. Um, the simple idea was, if the yes and no were looking like this with the question and then it's just a yes, and then if it's a no, it could have been peeled off or kind of scratched off the the surface and then having the no underneath, or if it's ripped out, having the no written in Sharpie on top. But that as a sticker doesn't really make sense. So that went out the window really, really fast. But these ones are basically some of the options that I have, but it's also kind of too specific for me to just get these inspired things. This one is coming from Indieground, so I know that I have these for way cheaper than they somewhere. But it's always good reference for anything, but it's also like specific words that I don't need or care about. Um, so yeah, also takes things out of context. So, eh, but yeah, the idea is I'm seeing the stops, for example, stop and start. These could be stickers that are added into the detail page of your perfume. So if you are here, for example, and you are currently wearing something today that could have like a start sticker on the end or on top of the icon from time to time, maybe in the review section that you don't have access to, that's just me. Maybe in there, if there is something positive, the positive at the bottom could be like a sticker, something that is added like right here, because most of the time the text is not going to go up to that length. Um, like stuff like this are interesting, which is the reason why the emojis are currently stickerified, but it's also kind of bad to have emojis, so that's why having the stickers would make more sense. A lot of stickers could be really cool. The main reason is because my bottles are already stickered. Stickered. It could make sense, to just have that and play with that and make sure that everyone understand and use these things. But yeah, that's something that I need to check. That's true. Yeah. Hmm. We'll see how things work though. That's the situation. So yeah, I need to do some stickers and I haven't done the list. And as I said, the reason why I'm not working and doing the research on stream most of the time is because it's not as interesting. I mean, it is interesting, I agree, but it's not as interesting because I'm not there. I'm like thinking, and most of the time I'm like on my bed thinking, looking at stuff, and so on. So that's not necessarily something that is good to have on stream, at least in my head. Not good. So, as always, this is a Friday, so if you have anything for me to review, please share a link or something, because it's a review day, which is appreciated. But yeah, there is so much thing that needs to happen um, in between today and Monday. Monday is the release of the app, official on the store, everywhere for iPhone. Um, and then once that's done, I really don't think I will have the brain power to go for the Android version. Not right away. Um, you know, again, as I've seen and looked for recreations of the sticker effect on Android, and it would require secondary APIs, paid APIs, for the machine learning things from Google to recognize the bottles and so on. And then that alone is just such a bad experience, at least in my head, that I like from a code point of view, that I feel like it's kind of weird, but like it seemed, and listen to what I'm gonna say, it seems easier for me, not a dev still, to create something that says if an Android user is adding a perfume, you send that same perfume to an iOS device in the cloud that processes the image properly and then send back the outputted PNG directly to the Android user, um, rather than processing the thing on device for the Android users. So, you know, like that's bad. That's not a good thing. Um, So yeah, it's wild for me for the image processing, for the sounds and so on. I don't think it's gonna be a good idea. So we'll see. But yeah, overall, I did a bit of a checks last brain. Yeah, yes, yesterday, last week, but also yesterday I did some of them. Most of the features that we have so far are working. The issues that I don't like is the bottom tab bar that has issues in navigation, where, as you can see, it kind of flashes in color. This is a native thing. This is not like this app specifically, but it is annoying, and I don't really know how to fix that. So that's one of the issues, and then everything else is working as intended. So you have your search, you have your outputs. I would say the only thing that is not necessarily working is the stuff that is necessarily used, not necessarily, that is used by me as the admin that no one will have access to. For example, that section of the edit details view, I have access to it because I am the admin, and it has some issues in there. Like there are stuff that just don't make sense, but you know, it's um, it's a small detail. It is a small detail. So for the instance of where we are, the only thing that pisses me off is this section, the journaling section, which is officially um, you already have it, uh, which is the like existing brain, brain. Nope. Which is the most important feature of the app because it's a journaling app in the first place. And the fact that the journaling section is not what I like to see the most is pissing me off. Like it's supposed to be the core feature of the app, so I'm supposed to see the journaling most of the days. So yeah. Yeah, you do. You do because I know you are about to add me to the Android testing, probably, right? That's what you're trying to do. You already have something. Eh, there, you have that. Also, it's doxed every day on every stream. You have my email somewhere that pops in. So if you haven't seen it, you know, um, it's on you. It's not on me. So yeah, so all of that, again, to go back to what I was saying, everything is pretty good. The only thing that is weird is on iPad. I haven't done anything good for iPad. And so, for example, that chart is growing. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. So, you know, you have your you have your profile right there, and that's a massive shot. Like it's a bit big, isn't it? And yeah. So there is something to be said for this specific view, for example, the same way that I have, and I can't use that, but the same way that I have can being like displayed in a side by side situation. But also, you know, like I'm looking at this right here. That also happened, and that's a small view. Like I I can't see every fucking thing. It just makes no sense. So yeah, there is a lot of thing that needs to be checked on the iPad to make sure that it makes sense. Like these seem to be kind of tiny in the center of the screen, and I could benefit from making them a bit bigger on iPad specifically. Um, but I don't want to make them like so big that they are like too big. I don't know. I feel like this is a cool size anyways, but you know, all that. There are also a lot of issues with the Mac version of the app. So these are the stuff that I absolutely need to work on. iPad version, because the iPad version is the version that is working on the Mac as well. That's kind of necessary to work, but also most importantly, the accessibility features of the app itself, it's working, but it's not good. Like there is a lot of voiceover related stuff that when you're selecting each and every single piece of the thing. So you end up having way too many slides to do in order to achieve or reach where you are trying to reach. So, you know, annoying, but still, it's good that I know that they exist and I need to fix them. For sure. For sure. What did you send me then? Nothing? Didn't send me anything? God damn it. Do you need like a beta testers? Is that the thing? Was I right? Am I right? Is it beta testing things? I think it is. I think it is. Um, that's the case. It's good. Congrats. That happens. That's good news. That is good news. So yeah, going back to this thing. Um, I have stickers to do, as I said. I also, I kind of want to continue my search for these, but these are complex. That's strong. When you have the notes, it's pretty nice to have the images that are going to preview. I have some questions about these. I need to go check my perfumery close by because these are the verbena berries, and these are the lemon verbena, and I need to check if they are related or not because, yeah, it's interesting. What do I do for release name? I don't know. Let me check. Let me check. I don't think I changed anything, to be honest. Um, I I let the system take care of it based on what I have here. I just changed the numbers. That's about it. Um, but yeah, that's it. Yeah. I go into the. Did I install it? I forgot if I did. Uh, I let's see if it's open can by default. Yes, it does. I basically go into the um, how are you at? I think it's the build Gradle thing. Yeah. And I changed the code version to the next up, and the version name when it needs to change, I go to the next up. That's all I do. And yeah, no, I like release name, I don't think I changed anything. The fact that it doesn't bring me any information in my head, like directly when you said release name, tells me that I probably never touched it. Um, so yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I should. I should, but also, is it necessary? No. Like for Android is that simple, and for iOS it's even simpler, where basically the only thing that I need to do is when I've built and published a version, I just need to go change this. So like right now I'm gonna publish point two, and when that happens, and it's validated by Apple, in the meantime I can still like send as many point two as I want. I just it's just gonna be point three. That's it. Okay, it's that easy. It is that easy. Um, the only thing that I'm trying to do as well is, as I said in the beginning of the stream, I'm I'm not I don't care about the build number and the build version and so on. That it can be like 10,000 whatever, doesn't make any sense for me. So that's something. The only thing that is annoying for Android is that you need to change the code version every fucking time, and that's not automated. As in the iOS version, it's the build number. The build number is automatically incremented by one, but the code version isn't on Android. So if you are uploading a file manually through the console, is going through not automated, at least for me. So because I don't have this um, iCloud or Xcode Cloud that basically sync. I think it's a GitHub Action type of thing that goes through GitHub um, to CloudKit. Then, I mean, it's one of the workflow that we have here, which is basically the same thing. Eh, you know, to me, it doesn't make any difference as long as the code has changed, and I'm changing the code here. Like the very simple system, and I'm making sure that everything that I have in there is good. I don't have to do anything. So yeah, again, the console is not something that I remember using in any way. So um, wow. That's good though. That's the thing that is kind of weird. Um, Android users, I have 300-ish in total. I think. I don't know. And I have way more ratings than what I have on iOS. However, on iOS, I have way more users, but way less ratings. So at some point, I put in place a system that was saying every 30 days, if the user hasn't um, left like a review of the app, it just prompts the user with the give me a review, and still none. So, you know, it's fun. It's fun. But also, it has nothing. Uh-huh. So bad. Uh, Again, not much on this one. Not not much. But yeah, 2,000 users in total. Probably more, by the way. Like that's the thing that I know. Because most of these data are like from the people that have the share with Apple enabled. So a lot of people don't share their data with Apple, which makes sense. But yeah. Um, Also, the fact that most users have at least 2 practice sessions per day is pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I wish this bitch had something. Um, but no, we only already have that someone, and I don't know if it's true because I don't have, you know, any information. Uh, Someone said that they bought the app, which doesn't seem to be the case because we only have the 22. But yeah, and again, I don't know. I don't know if I can trust them. I could, but on their replies, um, they basically said, "Dang, like I don't know. I don't know if I trust that. We'll see. I don't have the data yet. I don't have the data yet. It's gonna be fine. if I have the data, it's gonna be fine. But yeah, so far we don't have anything. 7 downloads already. Yeah. The thing that pissed me off is um maybe. I mean, the refund window is kind of unlimited with Apple, which is kind of um it's not unlimited, but it's kind of unlimited and it's kind of weird. So yeah. I think I was thinking at some point to do like a 5-year license or something instead of a regular one-time payment, but then it made no sense. So no. Um, but you know the proceeds. God damn. This guy, I guess, basically screw my entire analytics by buying the lifetime thing for $200 once and then refunded it themselves. God damn. So now I can't see the details. Everyone is at the same level, by the way. Everything is like from $5 to $6. I think this one, right about here, I got a bit more. Um, yeah, I mean that's the thing. I feel like again, it's a bit of a weird situation where there are some things that I will need to be paying for at some point if the app is big enough, right? And so these things in questions are usually going to be recurring payments and like database, user management, if that's a thing, server cost, and so on. Like, I mean, you know how it works. All of that is currently set usually into a recurring payment. And so, in order to pass the cost to the user, getting a subscription makes a lot more sense. So, unless I'm doing enough like revenue to buy my own server, my own rack that would be able to basically become my own self-hosted app on which I just need to pay the electric. Um, a subscription make more sense. But yeah, there is a lot of things that just like a one-time payment makes sense for this from my point of view. Like the Japanese learning app makes no sense to have a one-time payment exactly, and that's why it is a deterrent at like $220 once. That's a lot. That's expensive. So people are not necessarily going to buy that. Whereas this one, it's a perfume app where usually, and that depends on where you live and what you do, but like these things for regular stores, one of them is like $5 to $8. So the app right now is costing the user as much as 3 samples. Um, and that gives them the ability to just get like unlimited perfumes in their collections and so on. So yeah. Um, yeah, basically. Um, for Android, you just do that. For iOS, it's going through the workflow. So inside, I should just stay there 1 second. Um, bitch, in in here, basically, when you are playing with one of your apps and the thing is, working and so on, Xcode Cloud is the compiler, roughly, if that makes any sense. So when I have one of my workflow that is in Xcode that is triggered, is going through this entire thing. It builds the app, it check it up, it makes sure that it passes the archiving so that it creates the API. No, the AIP. Um, yeah, AIP. Yeah, AIP file, that is the thing that is then downloaded from the store and so on, and it says live versions and whatever I have in my workflow. So it's automated in that version already, which means that then in my distribution, if I wanted to get to 1.1.2, which is where I'm going right now, that is going to be available, and then I can just get whatever build I have available that is in 1.1.2 that, needs to be there because it has been processed and built through Xcode Cloud directly. So that's, I don't need to do anything. It's available because it has been processed in the cloud. And basically that is coming from this, I mean, not this, but like this thing, specifically the workflow section, where in that specific workflow, I have defined that you're going through this, like as long as my Git repo changes, like if something happened in whatever branch that I have, like it's usually on main, but if it's on the whatever, I could have any branch as well. It's going to go through the system of creating an archive and then creating the test flight for internal testing. And yeah, that's the thing. It's really simple. It's automated, and it works. So I'm really happy with it. And I wish that was something that Android Studio had, which I'm guessing is what exists for your GitHub Actions. I'm thinking you probably have like an integration or something. But yeah, that's the thing. So I don't need to upload anything, or or if I wanted to, I could, and that is going through. Where's my manage? Um, I always forget. Is it in? No, it's supposed to be. They changed the interface a bit, and now I'm kind of confused. Basically, there is a window somewhere that is supposed to give me access to. Oh, it's the organizer. Um, that give me the archive and the thing. And so if I have like my archiving of that specific app, I could have like all of my information. I could build through Xcode and then send that. So it's basically the thing that is working online, but I'm doing it here. Sometimes it's better because I can compile with this version of Xcode rather than the version that I have in my workflow. So yeah, yes, yes, I do. Basically, when you are doing the thing, or when I'm doing the thing, and I'm going through the build section, I do generate an app bundle, or the fucking thing, like the sign app bundle. I forgot exactly what it is, but I think it's one of them. I forgot. Um, and then that runs. It's working. I'm fine with it, and that's basically signs it. So yeah, and you need the signed version anyways. So you know, do your things. Do the things. God, I'm happy I haven't touched this thing in a while. Because goddamn, I need to pee again. 1 second. Yeah. I mean, the signed version is the thing that you need, anyways, in order for this to be working with, as far as I remember, in order for it to be working with the Play console. And um, yeah, bitch. I really need to make sure that I have this uh, as a quick access because goddamn. I made $9. Was all that, which is pretty cool. Um, I don't think we've had a lot of progress. I really need to make more posts about it, which is kind of sad. But it's gonna work. It is gonna work. So yeah, no, when you publish, or at least for me, when I'm publishing, I'm simply going into the testing section of the thing, and I go into the close testing or internal testing. Usually, internal is the easiest version. Create a new release, and then just drop the app bundle from wherever it is, and it just process whatever, and then it goes into my publishing overview. And so I'm waiting for the thing to process it. When it's processed, I have the thing, and that's it. That's it. The good thing that I like better about building for Android is the fact that this section is, once I have a new version that is publishable, that has been processed by Google on Google's side, I can just say, just fucking release the thing. I don't give a shit if it breaks everyone's device. It's just like send it. And so I don't need to have like on Apple sides, for example, right now I just triggered the 1.02. And so I need to go through that and add whatever needs to be added to, you know, make sure that I have all of the information. All of that needs to then go into the ad for review. The Apple review team needs to go through, let me save that. The Apple review team needs to go through everything, and then um, once they have like reviewed, I will then be able to publish the app or have the app published automatically. So, like that's a bit of a time-consuming thing. When you think about it, this one was on Saturday last week, and they approved it on Wednesday. Basically, I mean, they approved it on Tuesday. So it took 5 days, roughly, like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, ish. They approved it on Tuesday, And then the one from yesterday, I sent it at 10 in the morning. Roughly around 6, they looked at it, and 5 minutes later, they like approved it. So it's just, it could be really fast, but it's just like I had to wait the whole day. Whereas for Android, it's just like, oh, you have a new version, cool, launch it. That's it. Um, but yeah. What do you mean by date versioning? That's something that I don't know about. I do not know. But yeah, that's the only benefit that I have on the Android side, other than the fact that it's just cost you $25 once. I just paid the $200, the $100 again. Um, Technically not 100, but that's the benefit of having my whole um, Apple ecosystem thing being in Japan. The $100 is, um, you know, not the same in yet. So that's interesting. I think I paid like $70 instead. So I'm saving. I'm saving. I need to go back to Japan though. So yeah. Yeah, no, my versions are 101, which makes more sense to me because it's just like uh, a version for myself. If I could not have this, I would not have this. If I could just use the build number, right? This is version whatever, makes more sense. I feel like for you that has the diligence of potentially having multiple versions and knowing exactly when the versions came out, that's going to be much better because with the date versioning, because now you know, oh yeah, cool, so that 1024 is the one that has created a lot of bugs, so I need to revert to the previous version, and I can do that because you know basically when things are crashing, which makes sense. Like for me, a 1.01 might have been on build 108, but 110 is fine, but it's broken from 108, but I don't know. I get that. So, debatable. I mean, not really debatable. It's just like, that's what it is. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this, I'm thinking it's probably the same thing as what iCloud is doing with the workflows, which I think your workflow is your GitHub action that you can create um, in a way. But hmm. YAML, I YAM, I never understood. In my head, YAML and SQL are the same thing, which is not the case. But like it's the same fucking language. I feel like it's probably because either they are from the same era or they were popular when I learned about them the first time, and therefore they are linked in my head. It's probably not the case, but you know, things. Things. Oh, goddamn. Interesting. So yeah, that's the thing. But we have like a release day, which is really cool. On Monday, next Monday. Um, Release day is nice to have. Nice to know that that happens. And then after that, I have so much to do. That's the thing that pissed me off, is going back to what I kind of said. I've been away from Figma, away from design tools for a while. And so I'm mostly building stuff inside of code environment. And now I just it's just I need to go back into the design thing, and specifically I need to go into an environment that I can't or haven't had the opportunity to figure out yet. I need to go into the marketing environment and start to be one of these bitch ass and annoying people on the social media to just post about the thing 6 to 7 times a day on every social media platforms. Um, and that's just pissed me off. I don't want to do that, but apparently I don't have a choice. So, as we always say, if you don't talk about your stuff, no one knows about your stuff. You need to be discoverable and talk about it as much as you can in order to be able to potentially someone is seeing your thing, and that's it. That's the only option. So that's going to take a while. That is going to take a while. The good thing is TikTok is pretty good for reach. So if I find a formula or something that could make sense, I will do that. But goddamn, that do I hate marketing to do myself, not marketing people. Marketing people are fine. It's just like they do something that I don't understand because it's word based. And I still haven't like figured out how to rephrase it in my head to make it make more sense, as in, oh yeah, it's not like just words, it's how you this UX term that I know for retention, for example, and that could click, but for now I haven't found the thing that I know that could just transpose to the marketing stuff. So yeah. And yeah, no, still not finally a dev, still not a dev. That's not a thing. I feel like uh, even if I started to build things from scratch with no AI assistant thing, and you know, do all that by myself, I wouldn't still not a dev. Yeah, I don't think that's an option. I think software designer is better, or creator in general is a more accurate description because I'm doing the whole thing. But yeah, it's complicated. It is complicated. But yeah, god damn. Mm. It's it's an interesting thing. The fact that I haven't touched Figma in a while. I mean, I have for the Figma thing. I had to obviously to do an illustration, and I'm sad about the ending, but that's okay. That's okay. Um, they have so much clause in their contracts, which is annoying. Um, Side note about the Figma contract. Uh, Basically, they have a clause of exclusivity, which makes sense. That's what most big company have. But in the 30 days past the date, which is like basically in 7 days, right? It's fine. But past the date of the contract itself that has been signed on my end, I cannot, legally speaking, based on that contract, work for any product that is in the same environment. So design tools, dev tools, I can't do any work basically for 30 days. And if I had known that, I would have made my invoice a bit beefier than what I did. Because That's not great. That's not great. So next time, which might happen, might not happen, I don't know. We'll see. Um, I will. I will take a lot more things and put a lot more things in the invoice because right now I just did. Oh yeah, we have a video and something else, and that's it. So I did that. But technically, they also wanted some kind of organic post, which I'm not paid for, so I don't need to do the hashtag ads and hashtag partners, which is good. So, I can still officially say things that I think about on my own. But yeah, we'll see. I've seen that they have added other things. They haven't done like a lot of updates to the tool just yet. They will, but yeah. Um, I don't get it. Anyways, so yeah, that's an interesting thing. Um, but it's good that you have like the fucking dev accounts, Stoney. That's a good thing. Again, huge benefits compared to the Apple one. You have, or you simply have, one-time payment, $25, one time done, and then you don't have to do anything about it. It's just, it's paid. You good. For um, for Apple, it's like it's $100 every year at the same day. So that's something to think about as well. Like that's most people don't think about all these things. Well, that's exactly what I was talking about. Cool. So that person that we talked about before for what they are creating for this thing, they have been showcasing and they do this all the time. And obviously they are doing that on paper, right? And therefore, like the AI thing that I was talking about earlier is probably not an option. But I feel like this one makes more sense. The previous one makes less sense. Um, and it's just such an exactly the same thing in terms of the illustration that I feel like something is missing, something's wrong, and it happens. Let me see if I can find it. Not this one. Not this one either. Hmm. I should just go into the fucking media, but I think it's too late. I think it's too late. God damn. Also, I have a feeling that most of these new pictures have been AI generated for the past um few weeks. Like not this one, but like some of these are too clean. There is like a vibe to them that is just kind of weird. Anyways, let me just go back up. It's gonna be easier for me. Um, yeah, I don't think a free option would make sense. Like, I mean, so yes, I agree with you. A free option would be appreciated for a lot of people because of what it is and the benefits of the App Store subscription is not as beneficial as anything else, right? You if you don't need the maps, if you don't need the weather, if you don't need anything else, then it doesn't make any fucking sense, right? You're paying for something that you will never use. So if your app doesn't require any of these things, it's just a waste of money, which makes sense, right? And specifically, it officially it gives you something. That's the sketch that I was talking about earlier. Like that's, I don't think that's happening, but whatever. Um, You officially have access to the Apple Developer Forum, which is Stack Overflow, but not really because people are not as active, but they are active, but not as active. And you have priority to insider help. So, technically speaking, I can send a message directly to the Apple team, the Apple dev team, and ask them about stuff. Like, it's part of the bill. I'm guessing most people are not doing that and they're using the forum instead. But I have the right to just ask questions when I'm publishing an app um, through the app review section, like add stuff and say or ask specifics, and then they will give me the right documentation, the right things, and all potential help. I think one of them for Can was asking if I needed to have like a call with one of them to make sure that I understood everything, which I said no because it wasn't the case. But like that's the type of thing that you have in the benefits. Again, in the other things that I'm showcasing, the fact that the CloudKit database is comprised in the whole thing, and that I have access to like all of these um like features of having a free data set, a free server, a free container that is like just for this app, it makes sense. Like it kind of makes sense. And when you think about it, $100 per year is such a nothing. Like it's basically 25 cents a day, a bit more than that, but like it's such a nothing that I'm like, I'm fine with it. Um, but I do understand that it would be appreciated to have like a one time, even if it's like a $50 thing to get access to nothing other than the publishing is appealing, but it's also not necessarily what they want to do. What I don't understand here is why the fuck my screenshot disappeared. That shouldn't have happened. Shouldn't have happened. Anyways, the thing that I was talking about on this one is that, for example, could um like create an output. I'm tempted. I tempted. uh, Let me see if it works. Mhm. I fear it's not going to be exactly the thing. Oh, no, it does. So that's impressive. Um, it's bad, but it's impressive. Hmm. Is that like a Material 3 situation? It is. It's interesting. Um, the icon decision, the color scheme that they have used, and the shadow type is very much of a very specific type of design from 2018. I would say beginning of 2018-ish, where we were still using material. and transitioning to Material 3, which makes sense because of the training model of this thing. But that's interesting. Hmm. Hmm. Again, the goal for this thing was basically checking if you could create like an output of a wireframe based on the image. Um, like I could ask for the AI to generate like a wireframe or generate the wireframe that would lead to achieving this UI is something that is sometimes working. And, you know, it's a fun interactions. As I said earlier, it's a very useful thing if you don't have wireframes because, like me, you don't have wireframes and you don't do this. You just end up with the final design by default because it's just way faster to not spend time on working on fucking wireframes that much. Again, this probably not that much work. They probably took a lot of time with the creation of the drawings right there. But that's it. So, yeah, interesting. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where things happen, how things happen, and so on. God damn. God damn. Oh, I am so tired. I have tried. What's the name? I have tried to watch the Star Wars TV show called Skeleton Crew, and I couldn't. There was too many children. Interesting. That's weird. That is weird. Indeed. Indeed weird. Not necessarily good. Ah, God damn. Oh, yeah. Oh, I think I know. I think I know. It's the same thing as me, where basically, um, you end up with, um, like com.aoa.prefume, for example, for me, is the thing that makes it make sense. But yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just a zip. It's just a zip. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's fine. It's a compressed thing. You have everything. That's all that matters, right? As long as it publishes and it works, you're good. You're good. Um, in the test, does the app support Android 9? I don't think you do. I think you are Android 10 minimum. That's the question. If it's Android 10 minimum, that means that I need to check on this one instead. So that's it's the same device and things, but yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, don't again. I'm not gonna say anything, but Prefume is like iOS 26. Like you don't have a choice. If you have a phone that is not supported by iOS 26, sorry, buy a new phone. I don't know. If you are still on iOS 18, sorry, upgrade. I don't know. I don't care. It is not a good thing in terms of business relation, right? I shouldn't do that. I should support as much as possible for the people that don't have access to things. But the way that things are set up, or the way that things are set up right now, in how the code needs to be made, with basically having the layout for iOS 18 and then the same layout for iOS 26, basically duplicating the code every time and sometimes more because you need something for iOS 16 and so on, makes no sense. The thing that I do like um, is this, even though that might not be exactly like an existing truth thing. They talked about it. I know exactly how it works and so on. This was September 2025, which makes sense because it wasn't really released. Usually, um, iOS 26 is getting to like 90% of the iPhones that supports it by November, because you release in October, beginning of October, the end of September, I forgot, middle of September, and then by the time that November rolls in, most people that have the ability to upgrade have upgraded. So that's the thing. Um, and I should care, but you know, like it's going really fast. 29%, like there is still 64% based on this chart, 64% that are like iOS 18, and then 17 and 16 are still there, and 15 is still there as well. That's crazy. Um, though that makes sense. I know that you're gonna laugh at this maybe. Uh, the App Store employees, their phones are the iPhone 10 or the iPhone X, um, running usually iOS 15. The For the longest time they were still on iOS 7, because it was the most stable version, and that's an impressive thing. But yeah, it's good to see that it's gonna drop really fast. So going back to where we are, right, in November of last year, the iOS 18 dropped, and then by the end of November, roughly November, December, we had like 60 to 70%. So that's the reason behind, like, I don't care, just buy a new phone. Again, I had to buy this to make Can work, because the Google Play console thing doesn't work on iOS 9. It was iOS 10 minimum. So I bought this one that has like 15, and I'm good with it. And now I have something to check. So don't don't bother. Don't bother lowering the fucking thing. You're gonna need to make that so much compatible, or there is so much compatibility issues that you need to patch and so on, that I don't think it's worth it. Don't think it's worth it. Makes no sense. God damn. Wow. I am just dead. That is crazy. Um, that is crazy. I think I'm gonna send you to Clark because I'm dead. But yeah, small raid. Small raid. Clark is still working on the word on stream things, which is, good for engagement in chat. But yeah, it happens. It's neat. It is neat. So yeah, as always, thanks a lot for being here. Highly appreciate it. If you want to watch the VOD, that's going to be on YouTube. As always, if you want to if you want to ask a question and I'm not live, you can join the Discord. That's the usual place. And if you want to, I don't know, stalk me online, you can go there. That's fine. Um, I should be back on Monday if all goes well. But yeah, as always, if you want to learn Japanese, can is pretty cool. And if you want to give me some money, that is pretty cool as well. Obviously. But yeah, as always, take care of yourself. Do the right things and so on. I think Stony, I think you won. Because I don't count. So you did win. It's pretty impressive. But I also feel like you sent more message than this. So I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. I shall be back on Monday. Um, make sure to send me like the invite for the beta and so on. And yeah, eat something, drink something, be kind to each other, and I'll see you all on Monday. Bye.